Hey guys, welcome to Denny's. Today we're going to go into Infinite Dash Keelan. It is extremely fun. More specifically, we're going to go over the Infinite Dash build and some adjustments I made to my regular build without any Transcendent mods. Definitely like the video if it helped you out. Comment any feedback you got from me. Subscribe if you feel that I have earned it. And don't forget to follow me over on Twitch, guys. We are live daily over there on twitch.tv/Denny's with an extra S. And then don't forget to join the Discord. And if you guys would like to support me on the Nexon Creator Support Program, don't forget to renew your support as it does expire. The link will be in the pinned comment and the description down below. But let's jump into the video. All right, then what I want to cover first is actually some fixes and some shout outs for the first build that I made a couple days ago for Keelan. This is going to be just the non-Transcendent mod kind of dash build. So a lot of people were telling me that the tooltip was bugged with Keelan, and they were actually correct. They fixed the tooltip for his onslaught ability to show 150% range increase. It still says 250%, but they fixed the radius to actually only show that, reflect that 250%. So that is quite nice. The range has been fixed, so there's no need, long story short, there's no need to run the extra range mod that reduces your skill power modifier. So I'm running amplification control there. That is the only thing that I've changed there, and the build is pretty much the same for that build. So I wanted to at least quickly go over that, but let's talk about the mobile strike build. This is going to be the infinite dash build. So it's a lot of the same things as the non-transcendent mod build, except for we're going to be changing 3 mods up. So we've got all the cooldown mods, MP conversion, nimble fingers, focus on singular, focus on toxic. We've also got singular amp and toxic amp because it's still a singular ability. But now what we're doing, instead of maxing out our range, we're actually going to take off 1 HP mod to fit in 1 range mod for the skill expansion slot there. And then we're actually going to be maxing duration. So the skill extension and maximize duration is what we're changing, because what they did is they made it so his third ability actually is affected by duration now. This effectively gets your duration up to around 7 seconds, with the cooldown down to right around 8 seconds when we talk about the components in Reactor in a second. This makes it so you have infinite dashes. You never have to press any other buttons. You have infinite dashes. It doesn't need to be 100% uptime on the hunting time ability. It only needs to be like a 98% uptime or so for you to be able to get infinite dashes. So I do want to clarify that maximize duration does give you minus 21% skill power modifier. However, guys, if you add up the singular skill power modifier from singular amplification and focus on singular, we're getting like 129% increased modifier. So we have a net gain on his acidic erosion. It does not, even though the tooltip shows you a 0.0% acidic erosion, it does not reduce your damage. And what I would recommend is making sure that you do not press your first ability to get your acidic erosion to start stacking. I basically only recommend pressing your first ability when you're trying to get your stacks after you've already applied onslaught. The only way that you're going to deal damage, because we're obviously using singular skill power modifier, the only way you're going to deal damage with acidic erosion is if you apply it via your singular skills. If you apply it via your fusion skill from your first ability, it actually will do literally no damage, because we have 0 fusion modifier, skill power modifier, to actually get that dot stacking. So I wanted to clarify that. A lot of people, I appreciate you guys in the comments kind of teaching me a little bit more. I learned a lot about Keelan in just that video. I definitely messed up a few things, so I do apologize, but I'm learning, and I think this is going to be a little bit more perfected. But this is the build. Obviously, you do lose that extra HP, so you lose a little bit of HP, but we'll talk about we'll go to the reactor now and what I think is going to be best for the reactor. So as far as the reactor, I personally think that skill cooldown and effect range is going to be best in slot. You could go duration if you wanted to. I don't think you need to, because you have 100% uptime on the dashes with like a 90% ratio on the cooldown to duration there. So I don't think you need to. So I like the extra range. The extra range I like is because his onslaught ability still does a ton of damage whenever you are talking about the burst effect that it does. So for example, at the end of the dash, he does a giant explosion. That still does a ton of damage. So us maxing out the range on that is actually pretty important. And we definitely don't get the max range from the singular range mod that we have in there. So if you add that 92% from the mod and this 25% from the reactor, you're at like right around 120%. And then what you can do is factor in the inversion reinforcement quantum domain, which we will talk about as well for the inversion reinforcement tree. That is going to be another thing you can factor in, and you'll get very close to his max range, you'll be like 20% off, and then you'll be able to use another inversion reinforcement called Arcade Boost that for 7 seconds will actually get you pretty much to that max range, nearly like around 140% or so, which is really, really nice. So this is why I think this is the best for the infinite dash build and the dash build in general. I think that this basically makes it so we don't have to worry about that putting in that extra range mod, and then we still get it capped out. So yeah, cooldown and effect range. You could also go for cooldown and singular boost if you guys want to go for singular boost. That's a really good idea. Obviously, you're going to do more damage. So there you go with that. We'll jump into the components and then go over the inversion reinforcement. All right, so to talk about the components, nothing's really changed here that much. What I would recommend doing is if you want the extra wiggle room, you can run the Annihilation set as well as the Hunter set. So what the Annihilation set does is it gives you 5% skill duration, and the Hunter sensor gives you 4% skill cooldown. So if you run the 2-piece of each of these, you'll basically be getting a really nice combo there, and you will basically have that duration and cooldown down on the third ability to keep your Adventurous Spirit buff going. So this is what I use, and this gives you a lot of HP. We're at like 10,000 HP with just one singular HP mod. There's a lot of defense in this too, though. So we have about 13,000 defense just from running these components. The only roles that really matter are on the auxiliary power, you want to make sure you have max HP, and on the memory, you want to make sure that you have defense. Other than that, it really doesn't matter. You can obviously have like max shield recovery if you want. We only have like 500 shield with this build with Keelan, so it's not like a huge deal, but that is going to be the components. And the only thing that really I would emphasize about the components is just make sure that you've got the survivability rolls, because he obviously doesn't use MP. You're not going to need to worry about it. All right, then going over the inversion reinforcement, just want to cover two of the main inversion reinforcement. It's going to be Arcade Boost and Quantum Domain. They're both located in the seasonal section, the very bottom row. So Quantum Domain is unlocked from, unlocking every single one of the 4 in the row of seasonal, and then Arcade Boost is the 4th in the row. So Arcade Boost gives you a buff, basically, that whenever you hit 5 or more enemies with a single skill, you get Arcade Boost. So this is a skill cooldown minus 15% and a speed and range increase modifier of 11% for 7 seconds. So it's got a 25-second cooldown, which means 18 seconds of combat time. We're not going to have this up, but for a solid amount of combat time, we're pretty much always going to have this up, because we are always hitting 5 enemies. Most of the time, I would say we're hitting 5 enemies. This is going to get you closer to the range cap, but importantly enough, it's also going to give you that cooldown that you need. So if you want a little bit more cooldown to max, you'll be at 90% cooldown pretty much with Keelan using this. So you'll have like just ridiculous cooldowns. When this is procced, you can really press all your abilities and spam them. And then as far as Quantum Domain, obviously we are spamming abilities on Keelan, so we're able to basically always have 15 stacks of this, unless we're going, obviously, when you reset waves in Fortress Defense and when you reload stuff, you won't have your stacks anymore. But because of how many times you're pressing your dash with the infinite dash, you're pretty much always going to have this up. So this is going to give us like 12% range added, as well as the skill power, which is really nice. You're going to get like 9% skill power, which is really, really good. Very, very solid, and I think this is detrimental. Now, I will say I do think we should run biodensity augmentation as well. This gives you above the 10,000 HP just for basically defeating an enemy. You get 5 stacks of 11% max HP. You're going to have 50% max HP just from this. This will get us some nice HP, and it'll be worth it in my opinion. You can also use the defense one, but I think the max HP one is far more worth it, just because of how much HP it gives. And then let's talk really quickly about the weapons. I just want to go over the weapon that I'm using. So I am using Python. There is not a real weapon unique ability that works with Keelan. Obviously, Blue Beetle gives on fusion abilities. Blue Beetle gives crit. However, Keelan is not a crit descendant, so we don't really have to worry about a weapon. I got lucky enough to get a submachine gun mounted with my cooldown and range drop on my reactor. So I'm using Python, and I will put my Python build up so you guys can see what I do. There's a couple different builds I use, but mainly I just use the accuracy one with sweeping squad and a bunch of firearm ATK and weak point buffs. And that's pretty much it for Python. As far as Volsha, I use Volsha A lot of people say not to use the fire rate up on Volsha because somebody tested it and it does more damage in the long run, because fire rate up doesn't actually increase your beam charge rate. I didn't know that, so I appreciate that comment. I am still using fire rate up. I haven't really messed with it yet. However, I am using Volsha there, and then also I'm using Smithereens or Afterglow depending on what I do. But most of the time it's just an ability build, so I'm not really worried about the weapons as much. But if you guys wanted to use the Python, same Python as me, I'll throw the build on screen so you guys can see that there. And that is pretty much it for the weapons. And then as far as the gameplay loop, I kind of went over it in my first Keelan build video. I want to make sure that the passive is kind of pretty easy to understand. So with Keelan's passive, you're basically getting a 100% skill power modifier increase, and you're also getting a movement speed increase of around 50% just for using your abilities. For every 5 abilities, you get 1 stack of this, and that's what gets you those numbers that I aforementioned. And basically, it's a very, very good kind of like momentum-based passive. The more abilities you use, the more damage, the quicker you're going to go. And with this, I was able to go faster than Bunny in a lot of the 400% dungeons. Believe it or not, I definitely did do really well with Keelan. I definitely beat all my times with Bunny. I want to go over the Adventurous Spirit. So the main reason that we have Infinite Dash, obviously, is just because of our third ability with Mobile Strike is transferred to Hunting Time, which gives us Adventurous Spirit. Now, we no longer can fly in the air with our second ability, but we can infinitely dash along the ground. And the only downside of this is you lose the cooldown reduction from piercing whenever you go through targets, and you lose like 2/3 of the damage of the pierce effect. However, you only lose like 100% out of the 900%. It's down to like 730% burst damage from the explosion. So it's not a huge damage loss from the end explosion, which makes this actually worth running in my opinion. It's really up to how you want to play and if you want to do the infinite dash. The only other downside is that there is a small delay after you press the dash. When you're not using Mobile Strike or when you're not using Adventurous Spirit, there is a small delay. There's not a small delay, so you can spam your dash like very, very fast, whereas with Adventurous Spirit you cannot. But all we're doing is spamming dash, pressing Adventurous Spirit when it comes off cooldown, and that's it for the entire gameplay loop. It's extremely fun. You do have a 45% chance to apply a bomb onto the target whenever you use Onslaught, whenever Adventurous Spirit is active, so that's nice. I wish really this would be this Transcendent mod would be basically twice as good if they just allowed us to have that imbue rate from 45% up to 100%, because honestly it's pretty lackluster compared to just running no Transcendent mods at all. It's still very good because you get infinite dash now, and Keelan is an absolute beast now with infinite dash. However, that 45% bomb rate needs to be 100% in my opinion, but it does a nice chunk of damage whenever they explode after about half a second, and it also plays into your range, which is really nice there. So yeah, Keelan overall with the infinite dash is very fun. However, I'll probably be running both builds, both the infinite dash and the regular non-infinite dash, just because I enjoy both playstyles. But yeah, that is the infinite dash kind of gameplay loop, and hopefully I covered everything. Definitely let me know with comments down below. But yeah. And then more or less that is going to do it for the updated Keelan guide. Obviously the infinite dash is really nice. I did do some testing with Keelan's bossing modification, and honestly he's still not a boss destroyer, but you don't need to be the master of everything like Freyna. I think Keelan is in a really good spot. I want to know what you guys think down below in the comments. Let me know if you think this buff was enough for Keelan, if you guys are enjoying Keelan. He's my favorite. He's so fun. I'm going to play him a ton more for everything I do, invasions and everything like that. He's just incredibly fun, and I really, really enjoy him. I want to know what you guys think, though, so definitely let me know down below. Other than that, I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. Don't forget to join the Discord down below. Follow me on Twitch. I am live almost daily now on Twitch, so definitely follow me over there. We'll be live streaming a lot of Keelan gameplay and a lot of other games as well, so definitely follow me. And yeah, I hope you guys have a good one. I'm out of here, guys. Peace out. Goodbye.